be starting now. So I said that I would be going over what we left off on, which was methods during this class, but I'll actually take one step backwards a little. So today we'll be talking about class design, which is like the overall background, including constructors, methods, parameters, and dot notations. I have a lot planned for this 40-minute class. So what was the website? The website, what do you mean website? So I have a lot planned for this 40-minute class, so I hope we'll be able to get through all of this. The recording website. I asked you guys to download BlueJ, and I'll show you BlueJ on my computer properly. Okay, so BlueJ on my computer doesn't work. I'm not sure what to do about that. I forgot. Well, today you guys won't be doing that much. Not that much hands-on coding. Mostly like the ideas behind how like working a class design works, and hopefully we'll be able to. Do we just type? Okay, so how to download BlueJ? I'll go over that right now. There we go. Okay, so as I said before, go BlueJ. Search up BlueJ Java on Google. You press here, the first link, and then you download for Windows or MacBook or whatever computer system you have. And yeah. That's pretty much how you do it. And please do not spam my chat. I need to see what if anybody has any important questions. So spamming the chat does not help me to do that. So like once you download this, like you can ask your parents for help if you want to download this program. It doesn't let me press buttons. Okay, I'll show you. So this is BlueJ on my computer right now. When I double click it, it loads. And you should see something like this. We created a new project for today's lesson. I guess we'll call it, I don't know, Unit 1. Actually. And there you should have this. Okay, so I'll do that again. You press project, press new project, then you can name it whatever you want. And then once you name it, you press OK, and you should have this blank screen. And this is your project for BlueJ, and you can work on it. And I'll show you how to manipulate it through the lesson. So everyone should do this right now if you have BlueJ installed. If you don't, it's okay. We're not going to be doing that much hands-on coding today for this session, but please make sure you guys have it by next week. Does anyone still have questions about this? I'm hitting cancel, but if you would hit OK in your scenario. All right, so I'm going to our lesson today. If anyone spams me again, I reserve the right to kick you from this lesson. So yeah, this what look like. So for class design, first we have to go over a few definitions. It's programming language, and you guys should be able to understand what it is. A class is the blueprint or template for which defines an attribute and action, and it's basically the name of the file or class in which we are working on. For example, will we create an empty project? We need to add classes to it. For the main part, we have a main class, and that's the first class we created. And yeah. So an example of a class would be a car. A car is a class. So you have, I'm trying to look at a screenshot of someone who had different problems looking at these. This is kind of messy. Okay. Okay. So a class, for an example I'm giving would be like a car. Like cars are a type of object, and then in the class of cars, there are individual car objects. For example, you could have a Toyota or like a Honda or something, and each car, there are many objects within a class, and each of these cars can have attributes. For example, in the diagram here, this green car would have the attribute. Every car has a color attribute, a name attribute, a model attribute maybe, and like what type of fuel it uses as an attribute. So here in our individual class objects, to define each object, we would have to give it attributes, and these attributes are what define the object. And what is an object? An object is an instance of a class where like it's part of an object. Think of like an object as like the step below a class, and you create it when you want to create an object. For example, a person is a class, and you are an object because you are a person, hopefully, and a car is a class, and my car, sitting in my driveway, would be a type of a car. It would fall under the class of cars. And then a few more definitions. A constructor is the section in the class where we define its attributes. As I said before, the attributes of an object are what define it. So we need to initialize and define the object when we create it, and this is what we do in the constructor. These are just some definitions because I'll be using them later on, so hopefully it is helpful. A method is an action to be performed by the object, and it's like the bread and butter of coding. You want the objects to be able to do actions, meaning object-oriented programming. And a method allows us to can be called any point in the object's existence, and this allows us to repeatedly use them. And hopefully, it will be more easily understood through an example. And the method is also the same thing I was talking about earlier in our last lecture. So does anyone have any questions on that? I'll give an example here. For example, in our class of cars, we could have methods such as refuel and get fuel, set speed, get speed, and drive. So refuel as an action for a car would be maybe setting like its oil level to 100 or something like that, and setting speed would be like setting a speed attribute of the car to a new number. So by calling upon the method, we allow the car to do an action. Otherwise, the car would just be an object sitting in our code, unable to do anything, and that's not what we want. So any questions? That's strange. Oh, wait. For the person that asked this question regarding their BlueJ not working, did you download the right version of BlueJ? Did you download the version for Mac on a Windows computer, for example? Because you have to open the correct file version when you download it. Yeah, that's all the advice I can give right now. I have Eclipse. I've used Eclipse before. I'm not sure if it works well for object-oriented programming. I think it could. Okay, so for parameters, we'll give, hopefully you guys know what a slope of a line is, because I will be using a slope as a pretty simple example of a method we could give. So the method, we call it slope. So this is, here is the name of the method, and we usually want to name it something to describe what the method will actually do. So we call it slope because it allows us to calculate the slope when we plug into numbers. So essentially it's like a slope calculator or something like that. So parameters are what we insert into the method. For here, we have rise and run as the two numbers because we know that the formula for slope is rise over run. And both of these are integers. And when we input two integers into our parameter, the function must output the actual slope. So that would be the return type. And since slope is an integer, we would want the program to output the return type of an integer. So this summarizes what this method would do below. Since the method calls slope accepts two integers, rise and run, then confirms the method and returns an integer. Okay, so in our practice, if you guys have BlueJ, you guys can follow along. Otherwise, if you guys don't, it's okay, because it's a pretty simple thing. So if you're in a new class, I don't know, call it practice or something. Okay, so private integer. Okay, so you should see something like this. In the class, we have certain attributes to the class. We define two variables, private integer rise and so the point of defining these two variables at the top is so that we can call upon these variables whenever we want within this class. So we have to define the initial value of these two here. For example, rise equals to 3 and run equals to 4. More like, I don't know, to give us better numbers, we should do like 16 and 4, something like that. Then we can write our method here in the sample method box. We'll write something like public int slope essentially copying what we have in our slides. So right now it's having some compiler errors, but that's because we're using variables that we haven't defined. So what would the formula of a slope be? It would be something like rise over run, right? So we would want to return, okay, so int slope. So we defined a new variable called slope, and then we since slope is equal to rise over run, we set slope is equal to rise over run, and then the point of this method is to return the slope in which we calculate. So we return the slope here. And I know I haven't explained this, but whenever you write a sentence in Java, you always have to end with a semicolon. And when you're defining variables, for this instance, we're using integers. You have to define the variable as an integer here. So let's see if this works. To compile, it compiles. It's just usually a good sign when you're doing something. We print object, and then we call the method here by right-clicking here. Okay, so you right-click here, press new practice, and then you right-click here, and then you can call upon a method by pressing there, and then int rise run. So You can give any numbers here. We want whole numbers because our slope is an integer. So we give like 20 and like 10. And that should give us 20 over 10. The slope would be 2. It returns 2, so it works. That's a relatively simple method. Were you guys able to follow along and do that? And if so, do you guys have any questions? You guys can type any questions you have to me in the chat box. You guys are able to send that to me, and I can see your message. What did you click after you right click? Okay, I'll do this again. So I remove this. Okay, so you right click practice. Okay, so to open the compiler, which is what we have here, you double click. So you have this, and then you write the code I just write. You can copy it basically. How do you get a practice thing? Oh, if you were following on before, I said that you could press new class and then write a class name. And here I went with practice, which is this thing here. And then you press OK. Then you have this class. This is what we call a class. And then to write code in the class, you would double click it and then write the code here. I can't access new CLSDB. Okay. As I'm receiving a couple of problems on BlueJ, I will post a video. I will re-download BlueJ and show you everything up to this step in a video I'll post on Google Classroom tomorrow. I did not expect the process of installing BlueJ to like this confusing, but I don't know. I have a Windows computer, so it might be different on MacBook and everything like that, but if you have a Windows computer, it should be the exact same process. Okay, so answering the previous question before, to test if it works, you right-click practice, then left-click new practice, press OK. This creates an object within this class. I don't see new practice. Have you written the code yet? If you have, it should, yeah. Anyways, once you create the object, and you can right-click on the object to access the methods within the object, and in this case, it would be slope. I don't see new practice. Okay, so hopefully you guys were able to follow along with that. That was, I believe, pretty simple. Any more questions? I'll try my best to answer them. For a for loop, this class is recorded. I will be submitting the video of this class on Google Classroom afterwards. And also, I think we are posting these videos on YouTube, I think, but I'm not sure of that currently. For loops, we will be talking about that in a later class. They're actually really simple to understand. They're not that complicated, and they're pretty helpful, I think. So I'll go on. You don't have to raise your hand, just type a question. I will always be able to see it. So a similar example of a function would be print name function. But I'm including this example to explain that the return type does not have to be a variable. For example, a function can return nothing. If it just does an action, for example, or prints something, outputs something, it would have a void type because the function does not return a value. And also, a function does not have to have any parameters. For example, if it calls upon a variable that is already randomly defined in the object itself, it will not have to use a parameter. So I think that is useful. So for example, for the print name function, it would do something like print your name or something like that. So if we add that to here, if we set name, if we define, okay, so a name is a type of string, so we would have to set the variable type as string. And then, I don't know, the most common name is probably Bob or something like that, so we would call it name Bob. And then to write the function for that, we would just copy what we have there. That would be what we call the method signature, which is the main part of the method. And then how do you print a name? We went over this last time. It would be system.out.print line. And then we compound the name variable. So just print the name. That's pretty simple. It compiles, which is nice. So we test to see if that's okay by using the same method I pointed out earlier, and see if it's false. So that works. I just wanted to go over that, how to write another method really quickly. If you didn't follow, I know I went pretty fast, but it's not very vital. So I wanted you guys to practice like understanding what a method would require in return. So can anyone tell me what this method would require in return to get h function? Okay. So would anyone like to tell me what type of variable the get h function would require and return? Okay, so some of you guys are getting this, some of you guys aren't, I guess. So to look at what a method would require in return, in my instance, my question is asking for what variable type. Since there are no parameters, there is nothing within the two parentheses here. A method does not require an input. However, it would output an integer because this here is the method output, the return value. And as Daryl said, it would probably return like an age. That's correct. For this example, what would it require in return? The official definition of a parameter is a parameter is basically what you need, what a method requires to make it work. That's probably like the easiest way to understand what it means. You can search up the official definition for parameter if you want me to. The official definition of a parameter is a value that you can pass to a method in Java, and then the method can use the parameter as a local variable initialized with the value of the variable passed to it by calling the method. A lot of that is too complicated to understand, but basically all you need to understand that it's a value that the method would use when you call upon it. Going back to our question, the take trip method would require the variable miles flown as its parameter. And since it says void, as I mentioned before, a void would mean that it does not return anything and that it simply does an action. So for the last get name function, would anyone like to tell me what it would require in return? It's basically the same thing as the get h function. You guys can type to me in the group chat to answer my question. No, if you don't want to, it's up to you, I guess. If you understand the concept, whether or not you want to answer my question, I mean, that's up to you, I guess. So since it has no parameters, the same thing as to get age, it would not require a variable, but it would output a string because this would be the variable type outputs, and most likely, since the method name is getName, it would output the name of the object. Okay, so does anyone have any questions up to this point? You guys can ask any questions you may have. I know a lot of this stuff might be very confusing, and if anyone asks the question, most likely other people have the same question as well. So don't feel bad if you have any questions. All right, so no questions. I guess we'll move on, I guess. I'll be posting the slides, so if you want to review them, if you have anything that you don't understand, feel free to um, post a question, a comment on like underneath where I post it on Google Classroom. I'll try to answer there, and also you can email me if you have any questions. I have a email associated with my account at Alphademic, so I'll try my best to answer any questions. So we'll go on. So we'll go over a few of the appropriate habits you should have when you're creating a Java project. So class identifiers should be going with a capital letter. So when we're naming a class, it should start with a capital letter. Okay. Method and variable identifiers should be going with a lowercase letter, and there should be no spaces in them. For example, like the examples I gave before, like get name, get age, or stuff, all follow this rule. Basically, words are separated by a capital letter, and the first letter is lowercase. Identifiers for content should be all uppercase letters, with the underscore used to separate words. So constants should be all uppercase letters, but you don't have to do that. For example, like age or name like that, just make it a lowercase letter works. Also, I wanted to point out that your variables are case sensitive. So for example, if you name a variable total and you name another variable lowercase total, that would be two different variables. So make sure you watch the case of your words when you're defining a variable. You can also comment in your Java. This allows the readers to better understand what you're writing. And by commenting a single line, you would just do the double slash. And then anything after the double slash in the line would be commented out, and it would not apply to your code. And to create a longer comment, you would use a slash and an asterisk, followed by an asterisk and a slash, and then everything within these two would be commented out. And usually programmers use comments to explain pieces of their code, and allows people who are not familiar with the code to understand it. So basically, if I would ever give you guys a project or something to do that, and I wanted to show you guys example code, I would probably include comments in there to explain why I wrote each specific function to make it easier for you guys to follow along. programming errors. So when I talked about like compiling before, syntax error is what a compiler error is. Basically, following programming, there are some certain rules. When creating a method, you always have to start with a bracket and end with a bracket, and everything between these two brackets is what the method is. The reason BlueJ is so good for this is that it automatically does this for you. When you create a class, it starts a bracket here and ends with a bracket, and you don't need to type these because it's already included for you. And additionally, it gives you a sample method here in which you also have the brackets included as well. So that's nice. And also we can see the example of a comment here. Runtime errors and logic errors are basically when everything compiles, but the program doesn't do what you want it to do. And those errors are often much harder to find. And I'll be teaching you guys how to fix those errors if you have them in a future lesson. Yeah. So when you're calling a method in a when you're calling a method from a class from another method, you would have to reference the object and then dot the method. But since we're working within the same class right now, in order to call a method, you would simply just do this part followed by the semicolon, because every line of code has to end with a semicolon. Following along with our earlier idea about cars, I'll give you a simple project, simple code right now, I guess. So we don't have that much time left, but I wrote this code earlier today. And so instead of cards, I did parrots, because parrots are, you can have, parrots are a type of bird, right? And you can have many different parrots within the object of a parrot, just like you would have many types of cars within the object and within the class of a car. So here, when we create an object of a parrot, we're giving every parrot an attribute of an age and a parent name, right? So when we create the object, we are automatically, this is where you define an object, and for a default, we're setting a parrot age to 2 and the name to Bob, because that's that. And then I wrote a few functions here. With birthday, every birthday, when you call upon the method, the parrot's age would increase by 1. So here we do age plus plus, which increments the age by 1. And also it tells the parrot happy birthday by printing happy birthday, followed by the name. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because we wrote a function print name, which prints the parrot's name. And this, by writing this method, instead of having to write system out that print line parent name every time we want to print the parent's name, we would simply call upon the method print name. And this is an example of how you would use a method to shorten your work and make it more easily readable. And yeah. Do you guys have any questions about this? No? So yeah, in this case, we would call upon the method of print name using the method of a birthday, and you can do that. And to call upon the method, you would simply write the method name followed by the parameters and include any necessary parameters. In this case, print name does not have any parameters, therefore the parentheses after it are blank. I'm just repeating that, which is an important idea. So yeah, I don't know why this stopped. Look at that. Okay. So lastly, I want to go over the difference between print and print line because someone had a question about this in the last lecture. I'm not sure who it was, but yeah. So print basically, when you use system.out.print, it prints um, the whatever you have within the brackets, so it keeps the cursor within the same line. So when you call print again, it will just print after it. For example, if you have system.print comp sci and then followed by system.print line comp sci, it would be in the same line. So printing this would be just comp sci, but the cursor would still be here. So when you call upon comp sci again, it will print after it. But the print line moves the cursor to the next line. So after this, you print line comp sci, so your cursor would come here, and then printing out the following statement, comp sci, would be on the next line, and the cursor, since this is also a print ln, would be on the next line as well. It would be something like that, not the concept. But yeah, and I showed an example of that in the project I defined just now. For here, we use system.out.print happy birthday because we want the name of the parent to be on the same line as happy birthday. So in that case, we would use .print because we don't want it to shift the line. So does anyone have any questions about this? J option paint, I don't know what that is. Causes a pop-up. I'm not sure. I don't know, we're running out of time, but that's basically all I wanted to go over. So that's the basic of designing a class and the parts of a class. That was a lot to go over, but I'll post these slides on Google Classroom, so hopefully you guys can review these and understand these for the next lesson. And if you have any questions, feel free to send an email to me. In my post that will be later tonight, I will include my email and I'll try to respond to any questions you have. And I might give you guys a project to practice if you guys want in regards to creating methods in a class. So these are the ideas that I want to go over for this lesson. The option cannot show message dialog. I'm pretty sure that you could. There are a lot of types to output something. For example, just like buffer read reader where like print line or something like that, but a lot of that is like redundant and like there's no need for you to do that. So for most cases, you just use print line. So that's all I have for today, and good luck. I'll be posting any resources I want you guys to look at on the Google Classroom, so please make sure you guys check on that, and I'll try my best to post an optional assignment for you guys to practice in case any of this was hard to understand. All right, thanks. I'll be ending my class here.